Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Peggy Notebaert Nature Museum's third Chicago Conservation Corps webinar. My name is Marjorie Hoffman, and I'm the Interpretive Programs Coordinator at the Nature Museum. I'm also part of the Nature Museum's Chicago Conservation Corps team, along with my colleagues who are also joining us today. So we have Rebecca.
Hello.
Jeanette.
Hello.
And Erin.
Hi, excited you're all here.
And they're going to help moderate the chat. So the Chicago Conservation Corps, or C3, is a program within the Nature Museum that trains and supports a network of volunteers who implement environmental service projects that improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. So we strive to empower Chicagoans to work on sustainability issues that affect their communities by getting their communities engaged in that effort. And with the help and support of our local partners, we usually host a sustainability leadership training course twice a year in the spring and in the fall. The course is 8 weeks long and covers a broad span of sustainability topics. We were very sorry to have to cancel this spring's leadership training, but we're excited to share our partners' expertise and bring a little taste of C3 to all of you tuning in today. So if you have any questions during today's webinar, please write them in the chat window, and make sure your chat window is set to everyone so that everyone can see it. And then we'll answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation. We'll be also recording this webinar to share with you afterwards. So now I'd like to introduce one of our many awesome partners who helps C3 run. So Cate York is joining us today from the Citizens Utility Board. Cate is usually able to come to our C3 training in person to talk about the work the Citizens Utility Board is doing, but today she's joining us from home to chat about community solar. So thank you so much for joining us today, Cate.
Thank you so much, Marjorie. And thanks to everyone for joining us this afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to talk about community solar with us. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And does that look good? Can everyone see? Okay, awesome. Oh, now I'm seeing myself talking. That is super trippy. So my name is Cate York. I work for CUB. If folks aren't familiar with CUB, we are a consumer advocacy organization that is based across the state of Illinois. We are based in Chicago. And I'm actually coming to you from Urbana right now, where I recently relocated, but I did live in Chicago up until recently, and I actually completed the C3 training in fall 2018. It's a great program. I learned so much, and I actually never finished a project because I'm a terrible person, but maybe I can do one in Urbana and get credit after the fact. We can have the first C3 project from Urbana. But I just want to talk a little bit about my organization, just so you know where I'm coming from. So CUB actually was created in the 80s. It was created by the Illinois General Assembly, but we are not a state organization. We actually receive private funding through grant and member donations. But we do have this charter that we have to uphold, and that is to uphold the interests of people who pay utility bills. So we challenge rate hikes in the courts. We challenge rate hikes before the Illinois Commerce Commission, which is the state body that oversees utility companies in the state. We also operate a consumer advocacy hotline where we can help folks with questions that they have, or if they've had concerns with their utility company, they want to file a complaint. And we also set up a website with utility resources during the pandemic. And so there are a number of programs that are available to folks. Some policies that have changed, given the current conditions. And so that's available at cubhelpcenter.com. And we also advocate for affordable and sustainable energy policies. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, specifically community solar. So it would probably be helpful to define what community solar is. So this is a typical solar array, a rooftop solar installation. And so the idea is you install solar panels on your roof, you get electricity from those solar panels. If it's what's called a grid-tied system, any excess electricity that is generated by those panels goes onto the regular utility grid. When it's nighttime and your solar panels aren't generating electricity, you're getting that electricity from the regular utility grid, unless you have a battery backup system. And so we all have wonderful, luxurious homes like this, right? I know this is a picture of my home, of course. No, it's not. This is, of course, a very, not the situation for most of us. For most of us, we're renters, or maybe you do own your home and you don't, it's not suitable to put rooftop solar on your home because of shading issues or siting issues. Maybe your roof is facing the wrong direction. There are all kinds of reasons that you might not be able to get solar on your home. And actually, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory estimates that up to 75% of American households do not have access to rooftop solar. So that's a lot of us who aren't going to be able to get solar panels on our house. Not to mention the financial issue. Solar panels can cost, a solar system can cost up to $20,000. And so a lot of us don't just really have that lying around, even if we did own our property. So community solar is a great option for a lot of us. So the basic idea is that a solar company builds what's called a community solar array or a project somewhere in your utility territory. That's important because then you, without living necessarily right next to that solar project, still get credited for the energy that your share of that project is sending to the grid. So for folks who are ComEd customers, anywhere in ComEd territory, if you subscribe to one of those projects, that energy that is being sent by those solar panels is not directly going to you, right? Because you're far away from it, but you are getting credited on your bill for the value of that energy on your ComEd bill. So it's a great way for folks to support solar in our state, and it's also a great way to get some savings. So just an example of what that looks like on a bill. This is actually an example of a bill for someone with a rooftop solar system. So it's not quite the same, but just so you can kind of get an idea, this is a ComEd bill. You can see that, the kilowatt hours or the measurement of electricity that they used from the grid is on the top. Kilowatt hours to the grid is on the bottom. So that's the energy that their solar panels, or in the case of community solar, their share of solar panels sent to the grid. And you can see that they are getting a supply credit on their bill. They're actually getting $15 off of their bill because of the value of that solar energy. It's important to note that for community solar, you're only credited on the supply portion of the bill. You're still responsible for your delivery and taxes and fees. And you will be paying a separate bill to a community solar company. Most likely that community solar company, though, will be offering you a discount on the value of those credits. So you're still going to be saving overall. You get fully credited on your utility bill, you pay a separate bill to the community solar company, and that's a discount for the value of those credits you got on your utility bill. So, so remember, this is like a community solar array. You're not living underneath one, right? So this energy is not going directly to you. It's somewhere in ComEd territory. So this is a map of ComEd territory, everything in the striped zone in northern Illinois. So that's a lot of land where these projects could potentially be. And there's a state program, the Community Solar Program in Illinois actually just launched last year, and already 112 projects have received funding. And this is a map of all the community solar projects through, it's actually only one of the state programs. There's a smaller program that I didn't account for in this map, but this is 112 projects all across the state of Illinois. That's including 78 projects in ComEd territory that ComEd customers are eligible to subscribe to. You'll notice there are no projects in the Chicago area. Now that is definitely a concern because one of the whole ideas behind community solar is it's solar in the community. Unfortunately, land in urban areas is rather expensive compared to rural areas. And so the way it ended up working was a lot of these projects just got built out in rural areas where it was cheaper to lease the land. That's still good for people to be able to subscribe to these projects because you're still going to hopefully see savings on your bills. But there aren't any projects in Chicago, which has been a concern for a lot of folks because we want to be able to see these solar projects. I wanted to take a brief moment and just talk about what the only really option available to folks up to this time before community solar became available in Illinois. Now, remember, it's a new program. So before we had this program, really our only option was to sign up for one of these like green plans. And so you might have seen these mailers coming to you about, get 100% renewable energy. Well, remember, if you sign up for one of these plans, it's actually not your direct energy that you're getting is not renewable. You're getting energy from the regular utility grid. Another concern about these plans is what the company's basically doing when they say we're going to give you 100% renewable energy. If it's not like a community solar project that is actually like somewhere in Illinois, one of these projects, most likely what the company is doing that's promising this is they're paying companies that have already built wind farms or solar farms in another part of the country for the value, for the environmental attributes of that energy. So you're not really helping to subsidize new clean energy. Maybe you're paying for what are called renewable energy credits for like a wind farm that was built in Texas 15 years ago. So it's often not based in our state. It's not helping us build our renewable energy profile, and you're overpaying quite often. So here's an example of one of these supplier deals, Clean Choice Energy. It says, thank you for purchasing 100% clean energy and helping us all enjoy cleaner air. Oh, I feel so good about myself for paying Clean Choice to help me get cleaner air. Now, remember, you're not actually helping enjoy cleaner air. In fact, Clean Choice, I just double checked, sources their RECs from almost entirely wind RECs, and it's out of state. So we're not actually helping anyone enjoy cleaner air in our community. And the ComEd rate actually at this time was 7.29 cents per kilowatt hour. Clean Choice was going to charge you 13.4 cents per kilowatt hour for ostensibly no other reason than to just profit. And their profit was about $17 for this bill. Now, this makes me really mad as a consumer advocate because this particular bill was a woman who was having a hard time paying her bill. She was applying for an energy assistance grant at the time. So I don't like to see people like that overpaying when they can't afford it. Also, this is a graphic that my boss made, which just kind of tries to get at the point of, when we're talking about these green plans, we actually don't know a lot about where this energy is coming from, which grid, how much you're paying, how much of your money is even going toward renewable energy certificates. It's all very not transparent. We don't know when the generation was built. It's all to say, now we have a better option, right? If you own your home, you can put solar on your roof. If you don't own your home or your roof isn't suitable, community solar is the way to go. I also just wanted to add this, this is the mix that we have right now in Illinois in terms of where we're getting our electricity. So we're only at 9.5% renewables right now. So the best thing that you can do if you're really concerned about helping to build the clean energy economy in Illinois is advocate for legislative action. Let's try to get that percentage to increase. If you do have some extra money, rather than spending it on being overcharged for electricity, consider saving that money and investing in energy efficient equipment in your home, getting an energy efficient washing machine, or, if you own, getting an energy efficient furnace. Those things can be kind of costly up front, but they actually save a lot of energy, and you're going to be helping us out a little bit more than just overpaying, kind of like to buy guilt RECs, basically, to compensate for the energy that we're using. So going back to this map, let's talk a little bit about how we can access as consumers. We can maybe benefit from these community solar projects, because remember, these are projects that are being built in Illinois. They're projects that we exist actually because of some policy that was passed a couple of years ago. Was legislation that actually created the community solar program, and it also got Illinois back on track to getting more renewable energy built in the state, along with clean energy job training, a low-income solar program. And as you can see at the bottom there, last year we finally launched the Community Solar Lottery. So now we actually have 112 of these projects funded. These are getting built this year. They're actively looking for subscribers. And now we can start accessing some of those benefits of subscribing to Community Solar. So how do you sign up? So Illinois Solar for All is a low-income program that was created by the Future Energy Jobs Act. There's no upfront cost. You actually have built-in savings guarantee, which is great, but you have to qualify based on income. So you can see there, that's kind of one of the income qualifications. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I am running a little short on time. But you can see there, IllinoisSolarSFA.com is where you can go to kind of learn a little bit more about that and subscribing to the Illinois Solar for All Community Solar Program. They also have a rooftop and a nonprofit solar program, by the way, for organizations that serve low-income or environmental justice communities. Illinois Shines is the main solar program in Illinois. So that is the one that launched with the lottery last year. And so those are the 78 projects that I was referring to. That's through Illinois Shines. Now there's no income requirement, but there's also no savings guarantee. So keep that in mind when you're evaluating offers. Be careful that you actually end up saving on one of these offers. You can check it out at IllinoisShines.com. There's more information about how to subscribe to one of these projects. So I hope you like the eyelashes there. I was really embarrassingly proud of that. So what should I look out for in a contract with a community solar company? So this is a cartoon that my boss actually made because it's CUB, biting the utility company. We try to actually get away from this image because we don't want to be known as, just a pesky consumer advocate. But I always like to stick up for things to be aware of and things to look out for, because I always want to make sure that people are getting the best deal that they can. So we always recommend that you compare 3 to 4 offers. That's going to make sure that you get the best savings, that you get what you're really looking for in an offer. You also have to make sure that they gave you a brochure. It's supposed to explain how the program works. Everyone who participates in the state program has to do this. They have to send a brochure to you. They have to send you what's called a standard disclosure form that's going to outline all the terms and conditions of the deal. And they also you should know that you can check out a customer complaint database on the program website. That's going to say if anyone else had problems with a company. You can always double check that. For Solar for All, they have a consumer protections page. So these are all things to keep in mind. Now, things to look at on the contract, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but these are all things to be aware of, and I am happy to talk to people more about these issues, help them evaluate a contract if they're concerned. I will highlight that, the highest savings guarantee we've seen is 20% off the supply portion of your bill. So that's really the best thing we've seen so far. But we also have seen 10% guaranteed savings as well. So keep in mind, this is going to fluctuate. It's going to depend. So really compare those offers before you decide on one company. This is an example of a community solar standard disclosure form. I'm actually looking at maybe signing up myself right now. So this is my standard disclosure form. You can see, just wanted to give you an example. It'll say where the project is. Again, I'm coming to you from Urbana, so the project that I would be subscribing to is in Champaign. It's actually in Sydney, but a project that you would be subscribing to in Chicago would be somewhere in Northern Illinois. You can see, all these details, when the project is going to be energized. That means when it's going to be operational and connected to the grid. You can see who the approved vendor is, like who's the company responsible. So it's just really great to have all that information very just transparent. I can see fees. I can see estimated savings over the term. Keep in mind, this is a 15-year contract. So these contracts can be a little bit longer term, but you can see tremendous savings over the years. CUB has written some blog posts about community solar offers. We've seen a couple of community solar offers so far, Nexamp and Clearway, along with another company called Arcadia, which isn't really a community solar offer. So I'll let you see some of the nuances there if you visit that blog post. It's all available on our website. So this is just kind of another breakdown of some of the offers that we've seen so far, anywhere from 10 to 20% savings. Some require you to sign up with an alternative supplier. That's what ARIES means. Be wary of that. It's not required to be on an alternative supplier to sign up for community solar. So just be careful. Exit fees are good to keep in mind, auto pay, those kinds of things. all good to keep in mind. I do want to quickly plug, I know we have a lot of people who are probably ecologically minded, so pollinator friendly solar is a thing. Unfortunately, it is not a requirement for community solar to have a pollinator friendly array. I wish it were, but some community solar companies are saying that they are actually offering pollinator friendly solar arrays. One company is called US Solar. They're promising that their projects are pollinator friendly. That means that they've planted pollinator friendly habitats under and around the panels. They are only promising 10% savings, so that's kind of low to me, but pollinator friendly is a pretty good idea. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you're considering subscribing. So really quickly, because I'm out of time, it's important, I think, for folks to understand that solar is booming in our state. It's a really exciting time. We have all these great opportunities to take advantage of these solar programs, but we need to go further. It's not enough. We actually are going to run out of money for the state solar program. Community solar, those 112 projects is actually all the funding that we have to fund community solar through that program. We still have funding available for rooftop solar. So if you want to get solar on your roof, still plenty of funding available for a little while, but we need to expand these solar programs in our state if we want to meet our renewable energy goals. And so the Clean Energy Jobs Act would do that. It would ramp up our solar economy. But it would not only do that, it would also create better energy efficiency standards. It would help workers who have been impacted by coal plant closures. It would also incentivize smart electric vehicle charging, which is great. You can learn all about that at illinoiscleanjobs.org, ilcleanjobs.org. That's the Clean Jobs Coalition, which is the kind of organizing force behind this campaign. It has not been passed. So it's important that we take action to get that passed. You can also sign a petition. We're going to circulate the link to urge the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to extend a deadline, June 1st deadline. So it's coming up to allow us more time to pass the Clean Energy Jobs Act. I don't have time to get into a lot of the specifics around that, but I'm happy to talk to more folks about that. If you have questions about this petition in particular, we'd really appreciate it if you were interested in signing it. It's basically to try to keep us from overspending up to $800 million a year in order to essentially subsidize coal plants. Those are the essential basics of that, but I can talk more about that with folks. And one quick plug, I know for C3 leaders, certainly we're always looking for community projects. And I wanted to plug, if you're interested in maybe being a community solar ambassador in your community, if you're interested in signing up for one of these offers, document how that works, document your savings. Maybe if you're able to visit the solar array, go take some selfies with the with the community solar array and share your experience and just kind of help break this down for folks so it's not a scary unknown thing, because it's something that could really bring solar access to a lot of people. And that's all I got. So I'm happy to answer some questions. My contact information is here. Feel free to reach out and also call our hotline. We're always happy to talk to folks.
Right. Thank you so much, Kate. So we have a couple of questions from the chat that we're going to ask you. Erin?
Yeah, I am so inspired by this, Kate. Thank you so much. I learned so much too. We've got two questions that I'm going to lump into one. Question is, say you sign a contract, like a 10-year contract with the solar company, but then you move out of their territory. What happens then? Is it kind of a case-by-case basis, or is there a good plan to move forward?
Oh, what a great question. And I kind of feel like one of my coworkers planted that question because it's something that we're always concerned about.
Oh, we've got them all.
So the way that works basically is some community solar contracts do allow you to, I'm sorry, I got a little disjointed there. So some community solar contracts do charge an early termination fee. So that means that if you move, you are going to be responsible for that early termination fee. Some companies waive that fee if you move out of utility territory. So it really depends on your contract. So double check that in the language. It's going to say in your standard disclosure form what their policy is. So for example, the company Nexamp does not charge. It waives the early termination fee if you move out of utility territory. The only provision in which you are not going to be responsible for an exit fee, and that's guaranteed by the program, is if you're able to basically find someone to volunteer as tribute and take your place if you want to cancel your subscription. That's the only way that you can for sure not have to pay an early termination fee. The offer that I was looking at was one where I would not have to pay an early termination fee, which I really like because I like having that security. You don't know if you're going to be in the same place for 15 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. We do have time for a few more questions if anyone else has any other questions. I was really inspired to hear about the pollinator community solar. That sounds like a really neat thing.
Yeah, actually, Illinois did pass a piece of legislation in fall 2018 that created like a pollinator scorecard. So if a company wanted to, this is all very voluntary, which I don't love, but but at least it exists. So if a company wants to create a pollinator friendly solar array, there's like a scorecard system basically to kind of evaluate the benefit of that. So I can direct folks to more resources about that. And I forgot to mention that in the links that I sent, but I can send some more information.
Yeah, so all of the links that we shared in the chat today, we will also be sending out in a follow-up email too, and we'll be sharing the webinar, a recording of the webinar as well. So it looks like we don't have any other questions. So thank you so much, Cate, for joining us today. Thank all of you for tuning in today. You can find out more information at the website and the hotline that Cate's sharing with us right now. We'll be sharing other links in the follow-up. You can also stay connected to the C3 community and find information about our upcoming trainings and other volunteer opportunities by signing up for the C3 monthly newsletter. You can also stay connected to what's happening at the Nature Museum by signing up for our new daily newsletter. We will also share links to the newsletter in the chat window. And you can also find the Chicago Conservation Corps and the Nature Museum on social media. So we have another C3 webinar next Wednesday at noon with Dave Bild from the Nature Museum, and he'll be discussing community and citizen science from home. So thank you once again for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your day.